Oh, I forgot to even give myself audio. So hello, everyone. We're recording Tim Kirby Russia live stream. Sorry about the live stream that just failed. For some reason, my video disappeared, and clicking the button to kind of like make the camera come back on didn't work. But anyways, guys, our topic for today is I got the chance to talk to a new person in the Tim Kirby Russia universe. You know, we have codename Afanasi. We have codename Ted. and in the codename crew, we have a new guy today who I've known for many years, and he's going to be codename Army Surgeon. We'll call him that. And he told me some kind of two sort of interesting points from the front lines. And I think I'm going to use the ability of codename Army Surgeon to talk to a very large number of Russian guys currently on the front lines to maybe get some information from there. We're going to talk on some other topics, you know, the usual kind of personal and dumb and Russia related stuff. But I think we'll kind of get to this first. Now, one thing I want to tell you for sure, something to kind of kind of keep in mind here is a lot of people have been like, Tim, why don't you go down to the Donbass? Why don't you film like a documentary movie? There are already people who are doing that. They're doing it better than I am. But one thing that I kind of think about is someone who's kind of I don't know if they're really secrets, but is really kind of communicating with the frontline troops would be better. Because I have noticed that there are a fair amount of people who speak English who are trying their best to share the truth about what's been happening in the Donbass, both before and during the war. But they mostly kind of focus on what's happening on the civilian side of things and that. And hopefully I can use my connections to maybe get some info from the military side of things, maybe even some video. We'll see. As you guys know, there's a big difference between the Russian forces and Ukrainian forces when it comes to PR. The Ukrainian side seems to be like, go nuts, film everything you want, wear 7 GoPro cameras and just upload anything, and sort of the more the better. Whereas the Russian side, they definitely do not like their soldiers having loose lips and uploading mobile phone video, so on and so forth, especially because those mobile phones definitely attract a lot of attention from NATO spying. So, but anyways, let me tell you guys then these sort of 2 interesting points that I got from codename Army Surgeon, who was talking to the guys who are on the front. He mostly has more communication with the guys who are on the mobilized side of things. But one interesting thing he told me, which is hard to believe, but I have to believe him because he's never lied to me, and his sort of network of people he talks to, it's not just like the word of one guy, it's the word of sort of hundreds of guys, because not only is he an Army surgeon, but he's a surgeon with a private practice. And so he treats all sorts of people my age, men my age, who have stuff that hurts. So yeah, mostly sports stuff. So anyways, he told me this very interesting fact that apparently a lot of the people who've been mobilized have been moved back to Russia proper. Now, that's weird. So apparently one sort of group of about 10,000 guys was moved back somewhere around the Moscow area from the front lines. Now, we could interpret this various different ways. His interpretation, or what at least they told the soldiers, was sort of that there comes a point where in modern warfare, where there's such big blast radiuses, would it be radii? Radius is 1, radii is many? You tell me. Tell me in the chat. Oh, remember, guys, if you want, how in the Tim Kirby Russia hardcore on the channel, there's those 2 pictures I always put up for Telegram live stream, starts in 15 minutes. If you comment under either of those, I will see it. I will see, to be honest, if you comment anywhere, I'll see it. There's 291 comments waiting. Well, I guess I'm a little bit backlogged. But anyways, if you comment under one of those 2 pictures, I'll see it and I'll try to respond to it. Thank you. My mother's listening and she says radii. So we have my mother, former teacher, says radii, so I'll have to believe her there. But so anyways, you guys can comment. Maybe we could do some call-ins later. But for now, I just think we need to sort of brainstorm about this very interesting news that a lot of the mobilized people are being moved away. Again, the official reason why. Big blast radii. Modern warfare can kill a lot of people real quick, especially if they're sort of standing around rank and file. And so the logic that they were told is that they've actually sort of overcompensated. The front line is sort of overpopulated, and so they kind of wanted to move them back until there's sort of some sort of like movement forward, which also leads one to think that if that's also the logic that, okay, they're not letting them just go back to civilian life, but now the front lines are too crowded. I think probably then what their real purpose will be is as the line, now this is more my musings rather than codename Army Surgeons, but as the front line moves forward, that probably means that those guys are going to become sort of like the cleanup crew or the people who are going to be sort of like territorial sort of military police. They're going to be kind of behind the front lines and not really doing much of the fighting, but doing what you would call, again, this probably sounds bad because occupying is bad, but in a military sense, anytime an army moves into some sort of village or territory or whatever, it occupies it, whether it's good or bad. However, in modern parlance, that means a bad thing. But you know what I mean. They're going to be doing the occupying. However, they're going to be occupying people who want to be occupied by them, just to be clear about that, you know. So I think that could be it. There could also always be, you know, that was just his sort of theory as to why they're doing it, or at least that's why they were what they were told, why they're sending people back from the front lines. I don't know, you know, just because just because soldiers are told one thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the truth. I've kind of tried to brainstorm today before coming on here to talk to you guys about, like, maybe there could be a lot of theories. There's always the simplest theory is that maybe there was a mistake. Maybe they drafted too many people, you know, or maybe there was literally just a mistake of they were sent to the wrong place in Ukraine, and it was sort of easier to kind of like extract them and then re-put them back in rather than trying to move them from like one side of the line to the other. So that's one thing we should just be aware of, that I just found that personally very surprising, that, you know, where again, as someone who watches both so Western and Russian narratives, both sides kind of put it as in we're desperate to get as many people to the line as we can, and here comes the big offensive, and then the reality of it doesn't quite match that media narrative. So very weird. All right, so that was sort of a piece of information number one from codename Army Surgeon. A piece of information number two was that Surovikin, the new general, the man who is sort of like running the theater of operations in what one day won't be Ukraine anymore, sort of the General Eisenhower of Russia, as it were, right now. He actually has seriously changed the policy of how the war is being fought. Okay, and this is the information I'm getting from codename Army Surgeon that's coming from the troops. So this is actually being told directly to them. This isn't like this like chess game. You know, this is what we're thinking. We're analysts. We're thinking, what are these guys at the top trying to do? No, this is coming from what the soldiers are being told. And really, it sort of confirms the suspicion or the postulate. Was that the word? Basically, a lot of us who are more on the pro-Russian side of things, who are analysts, we could really see as an explanation as to why Russia fought in this weird way at the beginning of the war. It had to do with, you know, a combination of the logic that they are just there to protect the Donbass, who are independent republics, and that they, you know, really didn't want to cause many casualties, and that Ukrainians are long lost brothers and all that. As to why they sort of had the kid gloves on at the beginning of the war. Well, I can tell you one thing. Surovikin apparently told the troops about how the war is to be fought, and the kid gloves are definitely off. So I did share, I don't know, a couple days ago, kind of brutal. You'll see it if you can find it. There's this video which has now become ultra viral. Like, if you think I share some viral videos from Russia, the one where the Wagner guy approaches, you know, two Ukrainian guys in a trench who either didn't understand that he was ordering them to surrender, or refused to, or they thought he was on their side or something, and he just guns them down, right? Well, that's a new policy. So what I was told via codename Army Surgeon is that now, unless the other side surrenders in an obvious way, as in they just scream, we're done, we put our hands up, and we come out of the trench, hands up, smoke everybody to the last man. And this goes back to, if you remember a while ago, I made a video about how I thought that one of the real missions of Russia starting to attack a lot of Ukraine's infrastructure wasn't so much to like defeat them, as in like when the United States went into Baghdad, but more to kind of in advance make life so miserable to force everyone to leave the battle zone. And to an extent that's happened. And I think that this new sort of Viken policy of if you see it, kill it, also is a much more applicable policy with the way the battlefield landscape looks now than it did on February 24th, 2022, when it was still like a normal, just sort of populated country, however, with a anti-terrorist operation going on in it, killing its own population and all that. It was more, let's put the way, the concept of if it moves, shoot it, would be not very much in the Kremlin's interests, but now it has become that. And yeah, and so it's this whole thing of this, like, trying to do things in the most humane way possible and trying to use, the media to show, like, look, every hurt soldier that we could possibly find, we'll try to save them like we're saving our own guy. That's over. And it's also pretty terrifying because if you also look at the rumors that Kiev is doing everything they can, let's just say, but to be honest, one thing, though, about maybe Russian propaganda is I've heard a lot about them trying to nab people who are like underage or mentally disabled or way over age. I've seen some older people who got drafted, not seen a lot of 14-year-olds. Maybe that'll come later. But if it does, so far the dead seem to be adults. Anyways, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Hold on. Why did I say that? Why did I go down that road? Well, I think we're going to then see a lot more corpses, and maybe also this is sort of maybe perhaps a more of an element of terror, because now you sort of, we can't really say what the other side is privy to, but one of the things that's been one of the strengths of the Ukrainian side has been their commissariat, right? Their their Azov battalion, right sector, probably more so the right sector, basically the sort of neo-Nazi commissariat that was able to terrify or make these guys fight. If you run away, we'll kill you. And that's been worked pretty well. But now it's about even. Whereas if you don't surrender the Russians, you're basically dead. And I think that may be another reason why they're trying to work against this, because in some ways with the Russian side, it's like, well, if you fight against us, you do this, well, we'll forgive you. We'll try to negotiate. So anyways, basically, Surovikin has sort of officially changed the policy of the way the war is to be fought on this, like, soldier-to-soldier level, according to the sort of secret, not very secret information that I was just given. So one thing I'm going to try to do in the future here, guys, is to try to get more of this type of information via codename Army Surgeon and through maybe someone else. And I think that might be something good for the channel, something interesting. I know maybe some of you guys are really, really sick of hearing about the war, but the problem is, guys, if you want to talk about Russia, the war is kind of, issue number one. Which leads into our next topic, New Year's. I did do one stream either during New Year's or after I got back from it. But New Year's this year was kind of depressing because you all know there's a war going on. So New Year's was very calm, very quiet. But to be honest, guys, at this point in my life where I'm trying to do a lot of things in life, I hate Russian New Year's. Like when I was 25 or 6 or whatever, when I lived in Kazakhstan, I was 22, 23, 24. And when I first got here, like in my late 20s, gosh, New Year's was awesome. You're partying, you're drinking, you're having fun. You have all this time off from work. But now it sucks. It sucks so much because everything has been put on hold. Oh, we have a caller. You know what? No, Dr. Z said no, or Dre Z. And I thought he wanted to talk. Now he doesn't. That's okay. If you change your mind, we can talk. But one thing, guys, about this is the holidays really kicked the American village yet again in the genitals. So now only after coming back from break, we've gone through a week. That means now we can start to kind of get again this village project rolling. I'm going to get on the horn tomorrow and make a bunch of calls. One good thing, though, that I've already been informed of is at some point in time in the future, which I can't tell you about because I don't want to risk my personal safety here, I'm going to be going to the State Duma to talk about issues related to the village and to immigration as a whole. So that's quite an honor, and that's something that's great, and that's probably going to help, again, kickstart things. Remember, I was told last year, as in before New Year's in December, that we're looking for the American Village Project to actually break ground to start first half of 2023. So I really want to get that confirmed. I really want to get that big fat stamp and go on. That's a big issue. Let me just see if there's any questions here. Anything else? Some comment? Not a lot. Insomnia tonight, Tim. Yeah. I got back real late. And so here's one thing, I had some voiceover work to do, and it's really hard to do voiceover work when you're exhausted. So I actually slept from like 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. so I could get up and work. And now it's 4 a.m. So I'll go back to sleep for a couple hours soon and then try to wake up and move on from there. So, yeah, let's see. See, it's kind of a shame. I should have checked the chat messages behind before I actually started this live stream, because I kind of I'm a little bit afraid because I have so many of them I have to kind of go through. So I might just check the little 2 pictures there. But anyways, remember, if you have a comment you want to leave, you put it under the pictures. It says Telegram live stream. It starts live stream. Starts in 30 or 15 minutes. You put a comment there. I'll see it. You want to talk, you do the raise your hand function. We can have a chit chat because I kind of got to the main news of today. But going back to our topic of New Year's really being kind of depressing this year because of the war, not the same Russian New Year's. And also, gosh, guys, it just gets in the way of everything. So like all the voiceover work that I do, the American Village, everything related to promoting American football and developing the league here. Everything I do with the travel stuff, just everything gets put on hold for 10 days, and it just like collapses to this halt. So on the one hand, it was kind of nice to chill out for a while and just, hang out and be with the kids or be by myself or whatever. But gosh dang, now it's like, the train is completely stopped. Now it's like, okay, we got to get this initiative. We got to get this inertia. We got to push the train forward. So yeah, very, very, very frustrating. So there's some more news. One sort of, I mentioned earlier, the 2 sort of rumors from the front line. This is not from Codename Army Surgeon, but there is a new sort of rumor that I may actually turn into a dedicated video if I can get more information about it. The rumor is that Kiev is actually, despite the fact of whatever Zelensky says about we've almost won and they're, they just need to get more this, that, and the other, they actually know that the end is near. And so one thing you have to remember about what this whole like Soledar and Bakhmut and all this other stuff is that when they were, for the last 8 years before the hot phase of the war started, they were building up all sorts of defenses along sort of that line. And so supposedly, remember, I am just one man with one computer and a lot of good connections. But obviously maybe my connections are not that good. I'm a simple man. But it's always been sort of understood that all the fortifications and defenses and the real military infrastructure that the Kiev forces used for their anti-terrorist operation against the locals, it's really pretty much all along that like Soledar-Bakhmut line. And so beyond that is kind of just open steppe. And so that's one thing where I think, first off, a lot of the guys who are retreating from Soledar and Bakhmut are going to get hit. I can't imagine how many dead bodies are going to be in the fields behind those 2 cities. It's going to be unbelievable. In fact, I think the other day I just shared a picture about the horrors of modern war where you can see this field where there's just 5 bazillion million pock marks from shell explosions. I'm trying to find it now. Maybe I'm slow. No, I guess I'm too slow. I don't see it. Maybe I actually shared that much earlier. Oh, here it is. You can see it. It's crazy because there's so many explosions. I mean, thousands, and it looks like there's thousands and thousands of dots. And the size of the photo is not that big, my friends. It is not that big. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys getting killed there. But anyways, the overall strategic thing is that the nature of the war could again change after this because they don't really have the defenses. But where the defenses have been being built since the start of the war, that's a crazy English language tense. I think that's it. Have been being built since the start of the war, has been mostly around Kiev. Because if you remember in February, Russian forces actually did push into around Kiev to kind of hint that maybe it would be a good idea to surrender, and they pulled out. And so now the next and basically final, to an extent, zone where they're going to have massive fortifications or at least massive minefields. That's what I've heard, is it's going to be the area around Kiev is mined into insanity. Mines upon mines upon mines. A mine sandwich. Basically, that is going to be the area where there's sort of the next defense. And if I can open my map here, which I might share with you guys, why not? Let's take one little look at this. Let me get this other stuff back out of here. Go away. Hold on, Yandex. Let's see, map. All right, let's try to share the screen. If it'll do it, share screen 2. Okay. So just real briefly, I'm kind of curious myself what this is going to look like, because if we go over here, where are we at with? Kharkov is up there. Gorlovka, Lugansk, Piansk, Belgorod. See, this is the hard part. They stopped. They stopped putting like the regional lines for all the states in Russian countries on Yandex maps. I think to be politically correct, but gosh, I hate that. So anyways, that's Soledar, but I can't see. Where's the like Kramatorsk is over there, going down above Donetsk. So somewhere sort of like around here is kind of the line. Kind of, sort of. I'm drawing that very poorly. But anyways, when they go through essentially to Kiev, we're looking at how much distance? We're looking at 500 kilometers. So essentially kind of what the infosphere of the military analysts say is that generally pretty much everything beyond this, beyond like especially Izium and all that, is just completely undefended, completely open. There are no masses of trenches or anything until you get right to around Kiev, where there's going to be a mine and fortification nightmare. But you also have to remember that whereas with the Donbass for all this time, they've had to it's been sort of like a fight with a line. With Kiev, it's going to turn into a medieval siege in all likelihood, because Kiev is just one city and it is very, very surroundable. And so I think that'll be a much different sort of nature to the fight there. So anyways, let's see. Let me check the messages. Do we have any messages? If any of you guys want to call in, raise your hand, because it's now or never, because I'm thinking pretty soon I'm actually going to get going here. 4 comments, so there are some new. Jake Pritchard says, makes sense on both points for moving reserves deeper back into Russia. Didn't 60-plus Russian troops get taken out recently? Yeah, that was because started using cell phones all at the same time, and they got hit. So that's the thing. These cell phones, there's a reason if you try to do anything other than make a call on a cell phone on a Russian army base, you can't do it. Blocked. There's a reason. Keeps them away from enemy fire and helps avoid friendly fire if they're about to go total Sherman in Atlanta mode. Yeah, I think that also could be part of it. We also can't remember that, guys. One thing that I am very, very glad that I am not a soldier, because boy, sometimes as I review a lot of these videos, that I see on VK. Remember, I try to always show you guys some of the ones that are like the most culturally poignant or have the most like resonance in Russian society. When you look at a lot of uniforms, especially if you squint, it's really hard to tell who's who. I'm sure they're going to later on, as sort of the historians start to take a look at this war. I bet there's been a lot of friendly fire, especially from a certain more confused side before they started getting a lot of help from NATO. Regarding the Duma, if able and willing, could you request they make a new immigration visa that allows us combined privileges of student tourists with a visa, so we don't have to bounce from visa to visa as we attend language schools? That's interesting. So to make a sort of visa that it kind of allows for just the objective of immigrating. I'm not sure if they're going to like the idea of that, and I'll explain to you why. That's because with the way the Russian system works, it's sort of fair for all. And I really think that they are like the more American Village because it's a selective process with a limited number. It's kind of more filtered. I don't think that they would like that because it sounds just like opening the floodgates for immigration. And that is something they're definitely not going to like. The concept is good, but trying to sell that idea has to be packaged in the right way. Very interesting. Very interesting. He continues, while I got you online, my son dreams of being a sports writer. None of us know the future, but if there today is a demand for English-speaking sports writers in Russia. Well, I do believe RT has a sports writing division. Is there a big demand for it? No. But I mean, in a lot of ways, if you're thinking like, again, as someone, so I come from Cleveland, okay? So when you think of sports writer, you think of someone who goes and they work for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the biggest and basically only newspaper in Cleveland. I don't even know if they still print the paper anymore. Maybe it's all digital. But, this like Clark Kent, this famous news reporter, or going to the Plain Dealer, and you get this job at the Plain Dealer and they pay you really well and you sit at this really nice office and you write about sports. I think the era of that is dead, man. What you should tell your son is maybe not so much to be oriented towards Russia or something else, but to think about how they can become an independent writer and like start up like a Substack or learn the ins and outs of stupid Bitcoin, which I actually did, guys. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I made it my something I probably should do a whole live stream about is I did it. I was able to take Bitcoin or Ethereum or something. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. And take it from the West and bring it here. It wasn't much money, but I figured it out. But with the help of Jerry, I should say I figured it out. With the help of our subscriber, Jerry, and only with his help, was I able to do this. So thanks, Jerry. But anyways, back to Mr. Pritchard. You really need to tell your son or have him talk to me personally about the thing of like his future. If the future for him is going to look like it does now, wait, hold on, stop. I'm saying spin. I think it is more likely that his future is going to look more like, being an independent journalist and trying to like get donations and stuff like that, more so than this classic job of me sitting at this office at the Plain Dealer and having the nice hat and a press card and all that other stuff. I think that that's kind of going the way of the dodo. I mean, even like I watched like a media related to the Cleveland Browns, and there are a few like real paid like sports journalists within Cleveland, but they're getting on in years. And I don't think that they're going to get replaced. So I really think that your son should start thinking about all the different ways that they can start trying to make money as a journalist on both sides of the new Iron Curtain that's appearing. Especially, they're going to have to get used to crypto, apparently. So that's something that they should think about. Yeah. So also, boys, there's a lot of competition in that field. If your son was wondering, though, oh, my God, hold on. I can do one thing. I will – where is it? There's a site called First and Goal. I guess I'll show all of you guys. Why keep it a secret? Hold on. Let's put this on the screen. Maybe you'll be interested. Maybe you won't. So I won't do this for very long because some people hate whenever I bring up sports. We will share screen to screen number 2. And this is called First and Goal, although it's written in Russian. But it's Russia's sort of like number 1 American football site. And they do make money somehow. As you can see, they have ads and stuff. And so this is a good example of like semi-independent sports journalism where all these guys make money and all these articles should be original, but they're all written in Russian. I don't think they have a different language, but it's kind of like one example that I can think of. Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. So anyways, your son should really consider figuring out the tricks of the trade to becoming an independent journalist. That is the only way to go. So I see no one has their hand raised. I'll do like one last question check, and then otherwise I'm out of here. Oh, let's see. He continues. Would you put a link to that sports site here? Yes, something like that. So, guys, I guess that's it. I'll give you a little bit of time here to raise your hand or write questions. So, again, our major recap for today was the fact that thanks to codename Army Surgeon, we were able to find out that not only have they pulled back huge numbers of the people who were mobilized, presumably so that way it's not too crowded on the front lines. Not only that, but that Sudovikin literally, has completely changed the policy. The kid gloves are off, and then if you do not surrender in an obvious way, you're just getting slaughtered. So it's essentially a take no prisoners total war now, which is going to be interesting because I guess the guys in Azovstal got really, really lucky that they were captured during the Putin phase, because during the Sudovikin phase, they'd think they just would have, apparently, according to the policy, they just would have gunned them down on the spot. So things are going to get much more brutal. And as we can see that there's a lot more movement there. And also from other sources within inside Russia that aren't connected to guys in the front line, we're hearing that essentially Kiev is preparing for the worst. It is preparing for a siege, and that's going to involve a lot of mining. But again, guys, remember with a medieval siege, how do you win a medieval siege? Cut off all supplies and wait. The problem is, do you really want to cut off all supplies and make, a lot of people who are essentially your people potentially starve to death? Not so good. So Russia's going to be, again, faced in this difficult moral question if it has to engage in some sort of siege. But if Surovikin's in charge, well, he may just consider it a weight loss plan for the civilians, and they may just conduct the siege in the traditional way, which tends to work the best. So who knows? That's kind of our information. Question from my mother. Your dad wanted to know if the Russian government still owns most farmland. The government owns probably the most land in Russia, but obviously we are way outside the Soviet Union. So the question is most. That's a tough question. Because, boy, is there a lot of land for sale? I don't know. I'll put it this way. Even if it does own most of it, there is an insane amount of farmland that is up for sale from private hands. And also, for you guys who didn't know, did some of you guys see the ad here where we have for sale prime? Let's just see, land. I wonder if I can find it. I'm going to share this again because we have land for sale. A couple people have inquired about it. I don't know if we've gotten any traction, but if any of you want land for sale from a friend of the Tim Kirby Russia hardcore universe, 3.7 hectares of land in the Yaroslavskaya region by Petroslavl Zalesky. That's like a 4-hour drive to Moscow or less. 450,000 rubles. And that is pretty sweet. So, yeah, but anyways, going back to the question about who owns the majority of it, I think the government may technically own the majority of it, but that's just because Russia is so gigantic. But there's a lot in private hands. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. In fact, one thing about land that you can do is if the government happens to own a large piece of farmland, and this is what the northern American village is doing. So when communism ended, up north in the Yaroslavl region, which is noticeably colder than the Moscow region, there are some really, really huge plots of farmland that essentially were no one's, and they are left as being kind of no one's. And what happens is if you want to start using them, you can rent them from the government and eventually buy them off the government. The rental price is so small, it's ridiculous. I think for like some of these people who are up north, like when we looked at the pricing, I think it works out to be like 100 hectares for $40 a year, something just ridiculously cheap. So depending on what region you're in, there are some very, very, very large pieces of land that you can rent from the government and then later buy. So, it's pretty open there. Getting some more questions. Didn't they switch over to Gerasimov? Oh, I don't know what to tell you about that, man. Must that is used. I think we're getting confused here. Oh no! I mixed the whole chat. No, that was bad of me. Sort of his deputy. Well, yeah, but it's his policies. So, anyways, there's a long story at the beginning of the Second Chechen War. Oh gosh, everything's getting messed up here. I screwed up the chat. That's bad. That's not good. Everything that was unread has become read, even though I didn't want it to be. But anyways, guys, that's all the news I have for today. No one has any more questions. But in short, there's a lot of government land that you can rent to own. Or remember, guys, too, with this whole issue, like this person wants to sell land, if you want to buy land or precious metals in Russia, talk to your buddy Tim, because as foreigners, you can't do it, but you can buy them through me. We'll work out the contracts, and then eventually, when you get citizenship or residency or whatever, you can take it off my hands, and everything will work out fine. One of my business ventures within Russia. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go to sleep. It is very early. Take care.